stay up late, and then hopefully do better on the test. Does that make sense? So the research shows that long-term studying and cramming before test helps retention and for them to be most prepared for tests. So usually the time we see them, we do get a lot of students come to our office because they're so stressed out. The meltdowns is really because they're not, it's because they didn't prepare and they're anticipating the bad grades and everything, so it's justified. Their stress is justified. So this is just a nice handout just to kind of review what it is. It is something to probably discuss with your children so that they understand this is what could happen if they don't kind of stay on top of things, and also to put some things into place and make a plan, a study plan with your children, your family, not in their bedrooms where they have access to all the electronic devices, because mind you, they'll read and then text, and then read and text. If you're not watching them, it's not the best type of learning or studying to do. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, so let's say got started in high school and not making straight A's like they're accustomed to in middle school, which is actually kind of normal. We want students to feel good about doing the best they can do. That doesn't always mean straight A's for every student. It might mean A's and B's, or it might mean the 1C in that AP class, which is pretty typical. But if you are seeing kind of more red flags and C/D borderline or something, and you feel like you need to monitor the grades more, we do have a tool you can use at home, and Ms. Hardy is going to talk about that.
You know that EDSB's available to you, and a lot of teachers do post things on there. They don't have to use it, so sometimes, you may not get all the information that you need from that. If you're in a situation where you need more detailed information, of course you can email the teacher, but some of our students will use a weekly progress report that their parents have initiated, and these are available in the guidance lobby. Okay, we've got these for you to use. I usually tell a parent, if they're going to do this, to take a few of them home. Most parents do it on a Friday. They will hand their child one in the morning and say, I expect this home tonight completed, so that we will see what rewards you will get to do for the weekend, or what's going to happen. And it usually does work best as a reward system, not in the negative, if you do it that way. But if your student would hand the teacher this, the more information you can provide for the teacher, the easier it's going to make them. If you can have the classes on there, written in, and all the parts that you can do, have your student give it to the teacher when they walk in the door at the beginning of the period. The teachers are used to seeing these. They'll know what to do with it, so that they've got the entire period to complete it. Because I know if it was my child, they'd probably say, oh, she just didn't have time to do it. But, at the beginning of the period, and then pick it up at the end of the period. So this is another tool, that will help you if you're in that situation. Next Thursday is conference night, where we're talking about progress reports and monitoring. It's on Thursday. It's from 3 to 5 and 6 to 9. Okay? At that time, you don't need an appointment to see the teachers. You just go to the door of the teacher that you want to see. Sometimes there'll be a line, sometimes there won't. And I think they set a time limit, maybe 10 minutes or something, and then the next person goes in. So that's a great opportunity to meet teachers, that you want to talk to. We'll also be here that night, too. So if you need to see us, you can do that. Just come to the office or make an appointment. Eventually, I think at grade book time, yes, but sometimes it's not completely up to date, so, yeah. Okay, any questions about the little progress report? It's a contract thing. Mm-hmm.
They are required, I think, for our SIP now, teachers have to do a progress report time.
Right. So some. I would email the teacher.
Yes, I would encourage, the progress report. That's why we're talking about this. It's the best tool.
Right. Or email the teacher directly. Just, yeah.
And if that's not the case, then
Any questions about this? It works well. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So once they get the signatures, they don't bring it back to us to share.
It comes home.
Yes.
It comes home. Okay, thank you.
Okay, in regards to the actual support, we have a lot more tutoring options available this year, so it's great. We have the beta tutoring still that we've had in the past, but Mrs. Tolber is going to talk about the tutoring options here that we've added on with teachers and with students as well.
Thank you. The beta tutoring is available after school every Tuesday, every Thursday in the guidance office from 3 until 4. We have student tutors. These are students strong in basically every subject area, and the kids who need help come sign in. This is what I need help with today. It's important if you're sending your student to tutor that they bring something specific to work on. They can't just show up and say, Algebra 2, I just don't get it, you know. I need help with this chapter. Here's my review sheet and I don't understand these, okay? Because they're working with students. The student is not going to start from scratch and teach them a whole subject. So Tuesday and Thursday after school and Wednesday morning before school. We certainly realize everybody is busy. We have a lot of kids doing sports, so we added the morning tutoring a few years ago, and it's getting more and more popular. Now we have kids showing up. Our tutors are there at 6:45, so that gives a good 30-35 minutes before they head off to class in the morning. Same group of kids, same setup. Just come in, tell them what you need help with, and they will help you. So as things change and as we hear about kids' stress levels, we certainly wanted them to have more options for tutoring. So one thing we did this year was reach out to all of the honor societies to see if they would be willing to help. So this side of the tutoring handout, the Math Honor Society is tutoring on Wednesdays. There's the room number. Spanish Honor Society, those days, that room number, French, Science, and Latin. For these tutoring sessions, it's just like beta. You just walk in and say, I need help. And there will be, again, strong students in that subject area to help your student. I think test day for math may be Thursday. So Wednesday is a great day to go in and say, okay, I've got this test tomorrow. Here's this one little thing I just don't get. So make sure your students take advantage of this. On the other side, we have teachers who will tutor. Okay, this does require a little advanced planning. But you see all the subjects, the teachers, the room numbers, the days. But we do ask that the students sign up by 1 o'clock of that day by that teacher's door so that the teacher knows, yes, I'm going to have some customers today, and they make sure that they're in their room at 3:10. These teacher tutors are being paid through school funds to be there after school to help your students. So on the other side of this form. Flip that one over. There you go. Teacher tutors. It's just math, which seems to be our biggest need. It's always been math. It's always been math. Even before Common Core, when we've been doing beta tutoring for 6 or 7 or 8 years now, it's always math. I can't really explain that. Once in a while, students need help with a science class or a Spanish or Latin or French, but 90% of the time it's math. And just that one-on-one explanation sometimes is all the kids need, because some of your students, and you know who they are, will never ask a question in class. One of my sons was like that. He was like, I don't get it. I just don't get this. I said, well, did you ask? No. No, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And I'm like, ugh. So, he would grind away, try to figure it out himself. But maybe just sitting one-on-one with another person, it would be helpful. So these are available for your students. I'm working on having once again, polling my beta kids. Some of my beta kids, I have 400 in that club, can't stay after school to tutor, but they would like to tutor. So I'm gathering names of students who will set up kind of individual sessions with your student outside of school whenever their schedules match. Okay, and these tutors are charging $15 an hour. And although some of them don't want the money, they want the service hours. So it's either nothing or $15 an hour. I'm kind of pulling teeth to get their names because I'm making them this year, instead of just signing a piece of paper, I'm making them go to like their Spanish teacher or their previous math teacher to sign off and say, yes, this student can tutor pre-calc, this. And I have students who are getting signed off on tutoring for AP World, AP Human, AP American. But I'm asking for a teacher to certify, yes, this would be a good tutor. So it's taking a little more time to gather those names. Once I have that together, it'll be posted right on our website with all the other tutoring information, the students' names, what subjects they can tutor in, their email, and their cell phone number. So that's going to be out there soon. I have like 7 or 8 now. I'm trying to gather a few more. Any questions about the tutoring? Yes. Go for it. Go for it. Well, that's an interesting question. I started this, to be perfectly honest with you, because I realized we had a big population of students who had nonstop paid tutors. What about everyone else? What about everyone else? Not everybody's mom and dad can write a check for $50 an hour. So that's why we have beta tutoring. I would love for the parents to save that $50 an hour and send their kids in. I don't know where the stigma comes from. A lot of it, though, is the after-school activities. I guess. Yes, ma'am. That's possible, to walk in after school and say, I need help. The private tutoring is private. Nobody knows they're going to get help with their math twice a week. Yes. I'm amazed because I'm not a math person. When I listen to these students break it down for the other kids, I'll be working in my office and I'll just go. I'm just in awe of the kids and how well they can explain things. And they've lived it. They had that teacher a year ago. They know what the tests are like. So it's, the stigma, I don't know. It's a personal thing. And if any of you have, 10th grade students who are just getting inducted into beta, induction is in November, but they're already tutoring. You know, I love the young ones to come in and tutor, because my older students, they've forgotten geometry. They did it in 8th grade. You know, and they're like, oh no, we can't tutor geometry. You know, they're all in calculus and this and this and this. But the 10th graders are awesome at tutoring the geometry and the algebra too. So if any of you have those, my new beta kids, send them to me because I need them. What's our next topic, Miss Dykus? Yes, ma'am. Well, that's me. No, it's fine if people come in for help. It's me not wanting to be daycare, because that's kind of what might happen if I don't put some stipulations in there. Because I have kids who come in and sit down. My mom made me come. What do you have to work on? Nothing really, but my mom made me come. I don't want that. You know, I want kids who need help. I don't want to be after school care. As long as they have something that they need help with, we will help them. Absolutely. As long as it's used well and they're not just there. You know, I think I have a little group right now that they're using it as a Romeo and Juliet moment to get together. You know, I just have to monitor that we're there at tutoring for the right reasons. So I kind of have that form, and I do pick up the phone and call home and say, look, you know, I appreciate the fact that your student's coming, but he's not doing a thing but sitting here. So you need to find another place for him to be. So that's just for the tutoring that I supervise in the beta, before and after school. Yes. Yeah. There's no sign up or no form for the Honor Society tutoring, and for the teacher math tutoring, it's just sign in on the door that day. Yeah. Any other tutoring questions? Thank you, guys.
Yeah, on the last newsletter, the e-newsletter, that's probably how a lot of you just signed up. There's also a link for science tutoring from the district. The district gathers names of teachers and publishes that. That'll be posted on our website as well. If it's not there, somebody can email me to let me know as my reminder. But the science is in all different subjects, and it's just a matter of finding someone who's in our area or close nearby that can tutor your child outside of school. And you can email them directly to coordinate that. So we have the grades and the tutoring and the support, but just want to encourage you to start helping your children make the connection. Doing well now, or putting these things into place now, what does that mean later? We will be going into classes, freshmen at the end of this month, to talk about 101 type stuff. What is high school all about? Grades, credits, what does it all mean? And then next month we will be going into 10th grade classrooms to show them their transcript, see where they stand, and do what we're going to call like a reality check, so they can make the connection from now to what could happen after high school, college, and where they stand in 10th grade, so they can start putting in things into place early to improve academically if they need to, whether it's testing or classes, and Ms. Binko will address that.
Morning. All right, so our plan for the reality check, the state university system, which is all of the Florida public colleges, publishes a matrix that has all of their averages, the middle 50% statistics for their admitted classes, for GPA, SAT, ACT, for summer admits, for fall admits, whether or not they super score, and a lot of other good information. If you're interested in looking at that matrix yourself, we have it posted on the Plant Guidance website. It's called the SUS Matrix. That's for all of the Florida public colleges. So our plan to go into classrooms for the reality check is to show the students how to calculate their SUS GPA, because it's different than their Plant GPA. So when you go on and you look at that matrix, we know that plant wickedly inflates the GPAs. You could see a 6.0, 6.9 valedictorian, or maybe even a 7.0. I don't know when that'll happen, but 7.2, holy Lord. But that's not the same GPA that you're going to see on the SUS matrix. So I think that sometimes when we don't explain the difference between GPAs, students get confused and think that they're a viable candidate for a school when actually they haven't recalculated their GPA and compared themselves on a level playing field with all the other students who are applying to that college and who are being admitted, but may not have GPAs that are calculated the same way that the plant GPAs are. Yes. It'll say SUS GPA. Yeah, there's also a Bright Futures GPA, right? There's an NCAA GPA. So, yes, there are a million GPAs. And basically, that you can go on Guide Me. If you pull out this green sheet, it'll show you how to register for access to all of the online portals and information on Guide Me. You can pull up your students' information and see each of the different GPAs and what they're used for. Oh yeah, if you hover over each of the GPAs with your mouse, there should be an explanation. So our goal is to kind of get students more comfortable with all of those GPAs and how they apply to whether or not they'll be able to qualify for Bright Futures and what that means going forward. For the SUS GPA specifically, specifically, they want to calculate core classes and they add like core academic classes, English, math, science, social science, foreign language, and any AP classes that may not fall in those core subject areas like AP Computer Science, AP Art History. They would calculate those in the SUS GPA as well. So we want to get them thinking about where that GPA stands relative to the schools they might be interested in. If they are, bleed orange and blue and want to end up being a Florida Gator, where should they be aiming their GPA, their SUS GPA to be? And we'll teach them about that, yeah. 10th. We'll get there.
They don't have a GPA yet.
Right.
So, no. So they only have maybe 2 classes. Ninth graders, they're transitioning. And we want them to focus on transitioning, focusing on their classes, study habits. Okay, so grades are awarded by semester. So their GPA, if they came in with 2 Bs from middle school, they have a 3.0. That's not going to make them understand it, the big picture, because it's going to change drastically from year to year. So freshman year, they're not going to earn their high school GPA until January maybe, because our semester ends in January, and then it's uploaded not till early February, late January. I mean, that's pretty late. We're gearing up for AP testing season by that time. So it all goes really fast, but once they have a full freshman year, it's more of a true indicator of where their grades are. Just with classes from 8th grade, because not all 8th graders made A's. So if they made a B and a C, that's not really a true indicator of how they're doing overall this year, so yes. Sure, yeah. Right. 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 Yeah, and this is whole point why we're doing this collaboration piece too. You're a big part of this too. And helping you understand this, you will help support your child. We can give them these resources. Can we make them use them to actually see things? We can't do that outside of school. We don't have all the time and resources within a school day to get to 500 freshmen on the computer to see. But once we have the transcripts available, which are not printed by the district midway through the year, they are at the end. In the summer, we mail them home. But this is kind of the starting piece as a family as well. And again, the maturity levels of these freshmen there's a drastic divide in maturity levels. Are the majority of freshmen ready to explore this? Not so much. They're just worried about fitting in socially. We want them to focus on high school, right now, and transitioning to be happy and healthy. We don't want to put that stress is what it is when they see things like this as a freshman. And that's the whole test, that anxiety. Our students overall suffer from stress and anxiety. Doing something like that as a freshman, that's not something that, it's not always appropriate for the entire grade. Now, it might be for a small portion of students, definitely. But as far as the time we have and how now at any time in the year, your child could come and meet us individually, and we can go over, and that's kind of what's fun about our job. But to do it as a whole in a classroom with, the boys and girl who are passing the notes over here and so on, not as disciplined or not really ready to think about college, we try and curtail and focus, have more focused class meetings as well. So, does that make sense?
And to add to that, we would like to plan to have a 9th and 10th grade prepping for college night, an evening where we go over all of that general information just to help get the conversation started. You can bring your student, you can just come, whatever works for you and your family and you're most comfortable with. We do plan to have that event, but like Athena was saying, to spend 2 weeks in a classroom in the midst of preparing for AP testing when they may all not be ready for that is a little overwhelming.
But we have the Guide Me is also a new resource, a tool that the district just published spring of last year. So there were a lot of hiccups with it in the past. Just know that if you go on there and you see something wrong, it very well could be wrong, like GPAs were wrong last year. I think they've fixed all of those issues and a lot of technical issues as well. But it is a good tool to use just to start seeing courses. You could plan coursework on there. You could see the GPA. You could go into the Bright Futures section. And at the minimum, you do want to start getting freshmen involved with their service. Start doing that maybe spring and definitely summer of this year. And once they turn in their paperwork, you can go into this Guide Me and go under Bright Futures, and at the top it says Community Service. If you click on there, you could see the hours. So if you're wondering, did the hours go in? Did he turn in the paperwork? I sent it to school. You could log into here, have your child log in, go into that Bright Futures page and see that the hours are in the computer. Okay, so moving on to the next. As far as Bright Futures goes, we wanted to finish up with the presentation piece and get you guys on the computer in the Media Center, which is used by FCAT today. We did have it on the full screen to walk through with you, but we thought it might be good for you to at least get on if you haven't been on our website to see some of our tools that we have. So I want to talk a little bit more about service, some of the tools on our website, and then let you guys ask questions as well. Yes. Okay, yes. So for Bright Futures, service is not required to graduate from high school. It's for that college resume, and it's to qualify for Bright Futures as well. For the highest award, they need 100 hours minimum. So we just tell all of our students to do 100 hours. There are different award levels, and what separates the students here is typically their test score. We won't know what that will be until down the road. So for now, we're saying to just do your hours, get started, to help with their leadership, character, being involved. I mean, they build a lot of personal traits, doing things outside of school that you wouldn't get from just going from class to class every day. So with Bright Futures on the website, there are several Bright Futures tabs. One has a lot of opportunities, service opportunities or organizations, and it's like 4 pages. So if you don't know where to start, that's a start. And then as far as narrowing it down, just having your child focus on what they like to do most, whether it's working with animals or working with elderly or mentoring children at Boys and Girls Club. Start with that, otherwise they will end up doing what their friends are doing and serving food at Metropolitan Ministries maybe. Good to get hours, but your child may not make the connection or get something out of that themselves. So, but with the service, the procedure is we have a proposal, or the district has a proposal form and an hours log. Those are the 2 pieces of paper that will be turned in when they're done. If it's ongoing service, we recommend you turn it in periodically or have your just so you don't lose the paperwork or forget. It's hard to remember how many hours you did last year, let alone have someone sign off on those hours as well from the organization. But it has to be done for an organization, usually nonprofit, and the proposal helps guide you as far as what to do because it addresses a social issue. Feeding the homeless, assisting the elderly, tutoring, towards education, just a variety of topics. And so students should be doing the service on something where they're making a difference in the community, giving back to the community, not necessarily for personal gain or anything like that, or anything that they would be paid for. So they just fill out the proposal, the hours log, get it signed off, staple them together, turn them in our office, and then our secretary inputs the hours. So if there's ever an issue with hours and you know you turned something in, you could always ask our secretary. We keep a folder on every student with their paperwork inside. Okay? Any questions? Yes. Sure. Okay. Just turn them in. The hours on the... You're not necessarily. No. So the hours on the transcript are for Bright Futures purposes only. Colleges are not going to look at how many hours are on the transcript. The students will report those hours on their college application. You've probably seen already on their college applications, and that's what colleges are looking at. Just like they wouldn't have a captain of the soccer team turn in a piece of paper proving that, you know. So for colleges, that's separate, but the transcripts are actually sent to Bright Futures a couple times during the year, and the state is they end up putting those hours onto their Bright Futures transcript, which is separate, and they'll get one. Like I said, you probably have seen that too.
I can think of for seniors what you may want to turn in community service hours. We have the plant scholarships applications available in January, and they're due in March. Some of those are community service based scholarships, like I think the PTA has a community service scholarship, and they'll look at the printed transcripts from guidance to evaluate the number of community service hours that the student has achieved. They'll also look at the resume breakdown, but it helps if the number on the transcript accurately reflects the application you submitted. So that'd be the only other thing I can think of. And NHS.
Oh, no, it's all coming now. Yes, get those hours on the transcript. The other reason to have hours turned in well in advance is for NHS. They have to have 50 hours, I believe, is a requirement this year. We do not oversee NHS or hours going on the transcript. So a lot of times parents and students are like groveling, begging to us, can you help me get these hours on there? And the NHS sponsors are very strict. They will not 100% take it after the deadline day. So if you do it now or next month, you'll be safe. I think the deadline is sometime early spring, but the icon is on the plant website. There's an NHS icon that you click on, and it opens the document with all the criteria for NHS. So any service clubs or NHS honor societies that require service, they look at the transcript, and I guess the plant scholarship's good to know. And, they're just other organizations that maybe believe that kids are required to put all their hours on there for college. They don't realize that's only for Bright Futures. You see what I'm saying? So, something to be mindful of. Any other questions? Yes. Uh-huh. Anytime you start a new service activity, the proposal pertains to each area, each activity. So if you're doing one activity and you're continuing it throughout high school, you'd only need that first proposal done, and you just turn in new logs throughout the year. But if they're going from feeding the homeless and then they're going to go tutor kids, those are two different proposals. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Is there anything else with service. We booted up some computers if you guys want to look. One thing is we wanted to get you connected to some of our resources. A lot of you are on our guidance newsletter. We also have an app that you can scan and put an app onto your phone to access and utilize some of these things, and we can help you with that today. I have to tell a story because we have some icons, I don't know if you could see, on our website, and Miss Tolbert thought they were just pictures, but you can actually click on those and it'll link you directly to whatever it is on there. So I thought I'd point that out because I'm not really a tech savvy person. I get all of my ideas and help from your children because there was a big jump from when I tell students I did my college application on a typewriter, they just look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, typewriters, and we had an eraser tab and everything. But things have changed a lot with all the communication tools, with Facebook and Twitter and everything. We encourage you to get on that. That's the quickest information that you can get about school activities and guidance activities as well. But when you're utilizing Florida Virtual School, you may not always remember the websites to go to, and you don't always want to have to log on to the website. So if you have our app on your phone, it's just a matter of just pushing on that, and all of the links are there. Okay, so it's nice to have. In regards to Florida Virtual, students need a online class to graduate from high school, so that is something you can do over the summer. It's just whatever you guys decide, but the brochures are there so you can see all the classes available. There's an outdoor living. They add classes all the time. That's the latest one that makes me laugh. It's pretty cool, but they get their hunting license and fishing license and I don't even know what boating license, not hunting, boating license by doing the outdoor living class online. So if you have students who want to just take a manageable fun class online, there are a lot of fun classes. They don't always have to do like an AP or an honors, and again, the stress. They can enjoy some classes as well and do something like that over the summer. But that is also linked on our website and on the app as well. Okay, so we'll just spend the rest of the time if you have any questions in regards to any of the resources or things just questions about high school or about plant. We're here to answer those and also kind of help you navigate through the website just so you could see some of the tools. Just things I wanted to point out was that on the left side, the tab, there's also an SAT practice that you might want to start if your child's in 10th grade. Start implementing an SAT study plan this year. For the PSAT, when they take that test, it's practice, but they can also qualify for the National Merit Scholarship through their scores, and that's colleges find out about your children through their scores on the PSAT. And getting that practice early, just like academics, is key, because you don't want them coming in junior year ready to test and they've never practiced before and have no idea where to start. So the SAT Online, if you want to get started on that, could show you that as well. You're just putting in our school code and they could do quick quizzes, 25 questions, easy. You could tell your child, let's do one quiz a week as a freshman, or as a 10th grader, let's do 2 a week and 1 big test every month. I don't know, whatever the plan would be for you guys. And then junior year, you're definitely going to put a big plan into place so that when they take that free SAT in February, they're ready for that and comfortable, confident. Remember, test anxiety. That's their biggest issue. So, yes, question? Jeff? Okay. Oh, yes. The question is about the ACT. The SAT and the ACT are equal. They're just 2 different types of tests. Our district has utilized the SAT and those tools. It's a district thing. But ACT is a good test. Colleges look at them both the same, as well for admissions and so on. It's a very different type of test that's more subject-based, whereas the SAT is the general knowledge. There's English, a reading, math, science, and a writing on the ACT, and the math goes a little higher level. So sometimes juniors may do a little bit better on the math because it's closer to what they're learning in high school. But as you get nearer, you can practice both tests. And when we talk to students, we don't just talk SAT, but that's just a tool that we have that you can use that our district pays for. But there are ACT prep resources as well that we'll give to students and share. So does that answer your question? Okay. Any more questions? Yes. No, not yet. Not quite yet. Yeah. Anything different about that revised SAT? Yeah, it's just going to be scored differently. I don't believe the content is going to change. So, yeah, it is going to change. I didn't go to the SAT
I think that the emphasis on the change in content for the new SAT is more based on the application of knowledge rather than the memorization of difficult vocabulary, or they're trying to do away with the more practical application and being able to analyze the meaning of a word through context. Yeah, so if you want more detailed information about the ways it will be different, there's also going to be no penalty for guessing, and I think they're making the writing section optional, but obviously just like with the ACT, where we encourage the students to take the ACT with writing because that's what four-year colleges and universities want to see, they're still probably going to have to take the writing, but I think it's falling in line more with colleges wanting to see where they stand in their reading and math skills as opposed to necessarily weighting the writing into that score equally. But like I was saying, if you want to see more information about the exact breakdown of how the new SAT is going to change, on the College Board website they have a lot of articles about that, and you can investigate it further. We're working out how, in conjunction with the juniors who are taking the free SAT in February, how to offer a comparable practice ACT. It used to be the plan, but the plan is no longer like a test that we can offer. They're evolving it to another name, of course, another acronym. So I'm going to the ACT Fall Counselor Workshop in a couple weeks, and we're going to figure out what that new practice test entails and if we'd be able to offer that to our 9th and 10th graders while the juniors are taking the SAT. The 9th and 10th graders could come in for a practice ACT and get an idea of what they might prefer and feel comfortable with. Aspire, that's what it is. I was like, it's some other acronym. ACT Aspire.
There's nothing else. Thank you so much for coming. We're so glad to have you here and helping work with your children together. And please feel free to stay just for a little bit because we're going to be getting back soon to send for students if you have questions, and to get on our website and to get our app on your phone as well. Thank you so much.